Look down through your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-N, one people, one nation, one destiny. Don't stop for a minute. Come, let me take a walk. We'll the ticket. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments. They're so unique. The hybrid structure, lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, cathedral, 176 monuments, and the beautiful city hall. You know with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-N, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down through your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. G-U-I-A-N-N, oh, that's my beautiful country. G-U-I-A-N-N, one people, one nation, one destiny.
This afternoon. And again, I do apologize for the late notice of this press conference. Today, as usual, we have members of the Alliance for Change who are going to make some presentations on various issues. But before we get into the actual press conference, I did want to start with submitting our sympathies to the people of the United Kingdom and, of course, to members of the Commonwealth, and most importantly, to the British High Commissioner and staff right here in Georgetown, Guyana, on the passing of Queen Elizabeth II. The Alliance for Change extends its sympathies to those individuals. I also would like to change the note a little bit and express our congratulations to the students of grade 6 and also to the CSEC students that have done really, really well. And of course, to all the students that have been successful at both these exams. We acknowledge in the AFC that it is a challenge. In most cases, our students are running for almost 100% marks, but we take this special opportunity to congratulate them, their parents, and their teachers on their success. Having dispensed with those particulars, I wanted to ask Jaretha Finance, Member of Parliament in the AFC, who is going to give us an update and a presentation on the current state of our economy. Over to you, Jaretha.
Jaretha there?
Yes, I think she's coming on.
Hi, good afternoon, guys. I'm having a little bit of issues with my audio, so my apologies there. However, good afternoon to all of you joining us here this afternoon.
Can't we having a double mic somewhere? I don't know where. Judith.
Okay. Good afternoon once again, everyone, members of the media joining us this afternoon. AFC press release as it relates to key aspect of the Ministry of Finance mid-year report and the Bank of Guyana half-year report as of today, September the 9th, 2022. Guys, we're going to start by the performance of key non-oil sectors. It's a mid-year report issued by the Ministry of Finance detailed tremendous failure of the administration to meet key targets in major sectors of the economy, particularly rice, sugar, fishing, and gold. Now, these sectors have all reported contractions as opposed to the targeted expansion set out by the administration. The rice industry has reported an estimated contraction of 22.4%. The sugar growing industry is estimated to have contracted by 55.9%. The fishing industry is estimated to have contracted by 19%, and the gold mining industry declined by an estimated 1.5%. The decline of 1.5% in the gold mining industry is reported to be based on low declarations by small and medium scale miners. And the Bank of Guyana half-year report further expanded, stating that the small and medium scale miners, which accounted for 79.8% of the total declarations, declined by 6.4%. Employment in the public sector. The Bank of Guyana half-year report has reported the public sector employment fell by 10.9% at the end of June 2022. This is particularly due to low employment within central government by 17.7%. That's lower employment within central government by 17.7%, with a budget of $552.9 billion and an additional supplemental allocation of $44.7 billion in the year 2022. Central government should at least be recording higher employment rates. The 17.7% lower rates only adds to the existing shortage of capacity for government to execute any significant proportion of its budgetary allocations for 2022. It can also be noted that while the sugar growing industry has contracted by 55.9%, Guy Succo's employment increased by 7.7%. As it pertains to inflation, inflation continues to erode the purchasing power of Guyanese people. After the PPP has predicted inflation of 4.1% in the whole of 2022, the Bank of Guyana has now reported that prices have increased by 4.9% in the first half of this year alone. The Bureau statistics have further reported that inflation has reached 6.46% in July. The Alliance for Change once again asserts that inflation is well on track to reach over 8% by the end of the year and calls on the government to put measures in place to cushion the effect on the wider population, particularly the working class, as they continue to struggle to meet the basic needs in this inflation-intensive economy. I thank you.
Thank you, Jaretha. And can I ask Kamraj Ramjatan, leader of the Alliance for Change, to make his presentation? And that presentation is on the RSS review. Kamraj, if you would unmute. Go ahead.
Thank you very
Kamraj.
much, members of the
Guys,
press.
a very good afternoon. I'm hearing a feedback. Is anybody listening on two devices? Kamraj, Kathy?
Of feedback. I have my fan on. Let me just.
Kathy, are you hearing a feedback?
No, I'm not.
Perhaps it's at my end then. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Apologies.
All right, I will be doing this short press release. The AFC would like the public to have the complete report done by CARICOM's RSS in connection with the investigation of the Falgundas murder. The RSS was sought by President Ali to conduct a review. The report is in. It is important to know whether our police force handling of the matter thus far was an exhibition of competence and professionalism, and whether any of the prime suspects were given immunity or were handled with silken gloves. The AFC reiterates its position that all are equal under the law and no one is above it. Murders in this land must not be committed with impunity. That's my very short release on the RSS and the need for the complete report to be made public so that we can know how our police force is performing.
Thank you very much, Kemra Ramjitan and Jurita Finance. Let me turn us over to the media. Today, we've only got two members of the media. So Davina and Adam, we are here to answer any of your questions on issues that have been raised or on any other issue you may select.
Sorry, Adam Harris. My first question would be to Mr. Ramjatan. Sir, you talk about the RSS review. I was listening to a report earlier this week which said that the RSS was largely to operate in times of national disasters and that it hasn't got the capability to undertake investigations of such criminal matters. Obviously, you do not agree with that, and you're asking for the report to be made public. Why do you believe the RSS can fulfill this mandate?
Well, the Regional Security Service, RSS, does have, as far as I am aware, a certain
I'm getting that feedback.
capacity.
Nobody else seems to be getting it.
Please, the
Sorry,
RSS reviews called upon by the president is thus far what we can have as scrutinizing the Guyana police force handling of the Fagundes murder. We have not gotten anybody else, and notwithstanding that there might be some criticism about the quality of the scrutiny that it will give, that report has been done, the review has been done, and we would like to hear what the review is saying. The question about the quality of their investigative or scrutinizing capacity is a different question. But in view of the fact that it, as far as I understand it, has some capacity in that regard, we would like to see the report. Our party, AFC, would like to see the report. And also so that members of the public have the report.
Okay, Davina. Thank you, Davina. Go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My question is to Ms. Fernandez. You spoke about inflation and so on in the Bank of Guyana's, well, the mid-year report and so on. Firstly, are you satisfied with government's response to inflation and the rising cost of living? And secondly, what specific measures do you think should be instituted?
Thank you for your question. Absolutely not. I don't see the government actually dealing with inflation in any tactful way. What I am seeing, and this is what I've been making notes of for several months now, is that all actions of government seems to be heading in the direction that they are preferring to see inflation as opposed to other measures being instituted. I would add at this point that it was only recently must I say, during an interview with the Vice President, Bara Jagyo, and another individual, that he did say, even himself, that the methods that they are using may be a bit inflationary, but they are doing things to curb it. So that is an acknowledgement that what they are doing is not something to reduce the inflation, but to us that will add to inflation, the manner of spending, the magnitude in particular of their spending adds to inflation. but they are not they're choosing to go down in that direction. And this is something I've been stressing, that the media needs to continue to hammer and ask these questions of the administration. Why are they choosing these directives as against any policy direction that will reduce inflation? And I have to say, inflation is not something that is reversible. So let me just start from that point. And what the government needs to do is put systems in place that would cushion the effect of inflation on the persons living in Guyana, the citizens that is dealing with, particularly the most vulnerable groups, the working class of this country. And one of the most important things to be done there is to deal with wages and salary. Within the statement that I just read, I noted the employment rate and the fact that employment in central government is lower in 2022 by over 17% as against the first half year of 2021. And this is particularly disturbing given the fact that the budget, as you would know, the government is saying they have had the biggest budget ever, and they are looking to have such phenomenal expansion. But how does that play out? I think that, can I continue? I think I just,
Yes, Jaretha, please continue. And Sharad, if you would just keep your mic closed. Thank you.
okay, great. So as I'm saying that, in short, there have been no direct measures to deal with the inflation rate. We are yet to see it, and we need to see these methods coming forward. And I'm going to repeat, the Alliance for Change has been calling for the government to immediately look at increasing wages and salaries for the public servants, particularly. This is going to be a big impact on persons in the working class and that vulnerable group. So let us see which direction they're going to be going in. And it's not okay at no point in time for them to continue to put policies in place that is going to be adding to inflation. And this is all that we're seeing. At the end of the year, at the end of 2022, inflation will be over 8%. This is all that we're seeing. It's very clear, and something needs to be done about that.
Kathy, if I may add two points to the very question. You guys hear me?
Yes, Ricky, please go ahead. This
Yes.
is Ricky Ramsaroop, who is a member of parliament.
Thank you, Kathy. Jurita is spot on in terms of explaining that those systems, that a policy that can put in place. But we'll be calling a long time now for the government to subsidize the fuel, because if you look around the world, a lot of countries start subsidizing fuel. And we have the money, despite the decrease of the oil price per barrel, you know, and the influx of money that we're getting from our proceeds here, we can afford to subsidize the fuel. We are also calling on the government to do things like, you know, to waive fees from the University of Guyana and so on, to make education affordable. These are things that we have to focus on, and they're yet to do all these things. But other what they're doing, they are going around handing out money, and which is not, they cannot account. They don't have accountability and transparency of doing so. So those are some of the issues that they're facing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky Ramsaroop. Can I see Davina's hand up again from Kaichur. Davina, did you have a follow-up question?
Yes, I do. I have two quick follow-up questions, please.
Okay, please proceed.
All right. So, Ms. Fernandez spoke about an increase for public servants' wages. How much do you think should be given to public servants as an increase? Should we be accepting another a single-digit increase, or do you believe that we should be seeing double digits this time around? And secondly, the government has told us that the non-oil economy has expanded when we've seen the massive declines in the sectors such as sugar and rice, etc. How do you view their statement that we have seen, or that we have recorded growth in the non-oil economy?
All right. The first question, let me deal with that in that order. The first question is what is the percentage that we should see, that we should be expecting when it comes to the wages and salary increase. At a previous press conference of the Alliance for Change did call on the government to increase public service wage and salaries. And we did state then that we should start the negotiation from a baseline of 50%. That particular number was given because of the fact in 2016, it was the PPP administration in 2016, with a budgetary allocation that is less than half of this year's allocation. The PPP administration, the representatives stood in the National Assembly and they demanded a 50% increase. At that time, the inflation rate was very stable. I think it was about just 1% or thereabouts. And the government still called for that increase of 50%. So it would be unspeakable for the same administration now, with an allocation of $552.9 billion in 2022, with inflation rates skyrocketing, with the price of basic food items going through the roof, for them not to honor their own pledge, their own call back in 2016, and for them to give for public servants a decent increase. And I am saying, and the Alliance for Change have stated in a previous press conference that it should start at that baseline negotiation, should start at that 50% that they were touting for back in 2016. And could you just remind me of your second question, please? Oh, nevertheless, I just remembered. Your second question is particularly speaking to the non-oil economy and the growth in the non-oil economy, and the fact that we have key sectors, major sectors like rice, sugar, fishing, and gold, just recording these contractions is absolutely correct. And I think one of the things persons need to look at is when you're looking at GDP altogether, and it's very important for us to note that the calculation of GDP, you're talking about consumption, investment, government spending, and net export altogether. If you are looking and if you're going through the report, and this press conference cannot go into every bit of detail of it, but if you're going through the report, you will notice that when it comes to government spending have been increasing exponentially when it comes to that aspect of your GDP calculation. What you're seeing right now, if you go to the other non-oil sector, particularly construction, you're going to notice that's the numbers that are pushing forward. But when you look at those numbers and why it is pushing forward, you will see things like the Bank of Guyana's report is reporting that when it comes to loans given to the construction sector, those things have been increasing exponentially. So you will understand why we're seeing these things. You will understand why it is that the interest rate is been going down. And I've been speaking about it. The interest rate is going down. More is being lent to the construction industry. The construction industry is going up. Those spendings are boosting. But then you have to look at the proportion of Guyanese that are actually dependent on that particular sector, as opposed to the proportion of Guyanese that are being affected by rice, by sugar, by gold, by fishing, and particularly the class of Guyanese that depends on those industries. And you will understand why you were seeing a growth in the non-oil sector and how that translates to the ordinary Guyanese.
Thank you, Juretha. Any other questions?
Yes, sorry. Also for Ms. Fernandez, and perhaps Mr. Ramjatan can come in here as a senior politician. In times like these, the trade unions would often tend to be very, very vibrant and dominant because they're supposed to look after the interests of their workers. The workers think that the public servants haven't had a pay increase. Cost of living is going up and the wages therefore mean precious little. Is the AFC trying to get the unions, the trade unions, to be more actively involved in helping to solve these problems that people like Ms. Fernandez have been identifying?
Well, if I may first start an answer to that. We in the Alliance for Change have been asking that there be collective bargaining by the trade unions. And I know that we are close to the teachers union via Coretta McDonald and a couple of others that I speak to on social media and so on. It is true that there is a kind of what you might call malaise in that regard, and the trade union reps and so on are not moving forward with the haste as I suspect that they ought to in times like these. I would have to go do some more research as to what might be causing it. But I'll tell you anecdotally, some of the government people that I spoke to last time in Parliament said I'm public servants enjoying it as a result of, getting their gains as a result of what some people might want to call corruption. And they might very well be satisfied with that. That is why they might not want to call. Now, look, I know that there is corruption amongst public servants. I have seen policemen asking for small piece, where you're going left and this and that, and some other public servants. But I doubt whether it is that. And a large percentage of our public servants do not indulge. And so, one would expect now that the trade union movement and its leadership is going to do the necessary motivation and agitational work on the ground, like we political parties are trying to do at the rally that we are holding and so on, to get the people to move in that direction. Create some more militancy within that trade union arm of the society.
Thank you, Kemraj Ramjatan. Are there any other questions or issues?
I'm sorry. All right. Yes, there is one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this had to do with an address made by Mr. Ramjatan last week, when he spoke about the level of discrimination in the society. Sir, is the discrimination to such an extent that it has crept over into the employment sector, the public servants? Ms. Finance talked about government employment falling by 17.7%, while sugar went up by, I missed the figure.
7.7.
7%. The employment in Gaisuko went up by 7.7%. Thank you very much. Is the would you say that the discrimination is so evident that it is leading to the decline in employment in the public sector?
I think that government definitely needs to come forward and give clarity to this particular figure. It is not okay to have a budget increase to that level that we're looking at right now in 2022, and for the report to be coming out from the Bank of Guyana that's saying that central government employment has been lowered by 17.7%. That doesn't make any sense. And when it comes to the 7.7% increase in Gaisuko, we're looking at a contraction of sugar there by 55.9%. How then do you explain an expansion of employment by 7.7%? So very, very key numbers for us to look at. And I think that I think a lot needs to be done from the part of government in answering and giving clarity to the people as to why they're choosing to go in this direction, which is basically counterproductive to the efficient management of the economy and the resources of Guyana.
But to the question also as to discrimination, and I'm talking about racial discrimination here, those statistics are vindicating that if there is a 7% increase in employment at Gaisuko, we know who they are. And if there is a 17% reduction, largely of public sector, we know who are disappearing. And that is why initially I was very reluctant in the description of that seminar, Emerging Apartheid State. But as I said, when I went back and read what Freddie Kissoon had so cogently and convincingly argued, and then juxtaposing those compartments in the existing reality, whereby contracts are only given to a lot of East Indians. And just like what we just argued here, guys, Suko, you get an increase in employment, but generally 17% lower employment in the public service. What does it mean? We know who largely, because of the evolution of the society, are in the public service and so on. So it is not that the Alliance for Change has all the technical researchers and the people that could do this research. But even when you juxtapose these statistics and you know largely what is the base, the support basis of these institutions like Gaisuko and the public service and public employment, you can make deductions. And that is why we are saying that we have to have ethnic audits, which can either prove or disprove the emergence of an apartheid state and the discriminatory patterns. They don't want to do that. We have been begging them, please, on the website of the Ministry of Agriculture, put out all of them people that got the black belly sheep or black belly whatever, and the fisher folk names who collected money, and the flood relief who collect money, and all of them who collect the severance payments. And we're gonna know. That is what a government is supposed to do. But they don't do it. And so I want to believe that there is, in essence, a lot of truth in the fact that there is discriminatory practice. And the racism is playing out its head pretty badly. I would like also to urge the Ethnic Relations Commission. I think they were appointed, or we are in the process of appointing them. That they get they get on with the job of dealing and asking these questions. Because when you ask the question of the Commissioner of Information, he don't want to answer any of your questions. He said, well, you can go and ask the parliamentary questions and all of that. You go to the parliament and you make speeches. They don't give you any information. You ask the question. They don't give you any. So the hiding of these answers, and the fact that we are seeing, as the statistics from the half-yearly report are showing, you got to know whose jobs are disappearing there, Adam. Thanks very much.
And
Okay.
quickly, what's the state of play with the Public Accounts Committee? Is it dead?
Well, it has gone in recess, I think, because we are now in the process of a recess. Oh yes, Joretta will answer.
The Public Accounts Committee, we cannot resume any meetings until after the recess. We're going to be coming out of recess on the 10th of October. So thereafter the 10th of October, the Public Accounts Committee, the statutory dates of meeting, which is every Monday, will continue thereafter. But I can note at this point, that the handing over of the 2021 Auditor General's report is scheduled for the 19th of this month. So that is a bit of information I would love to put in here at this time. So the 2021 Auditor General's report, that handing over ceremony is slated for the 19th of September. So that is the next 2 Mondays. So we look forward to being in receipt of that particular report, because I can only imagine the magnitude of findings, particularly with the spending throughout 2021 that the government had undertaken, and the chaotic way in which those monies were dispersed.
Okay. Thank you, Jaretha, for that explanation. Finally, again, can I ask if there are any further questions? And if not, I do want to thank the members of the media with us today, and also members of the Alliance for Change for their participation in this press conference. Please be safe and have a good weekend. Thank you.
You